So a few days ago, I saw this video for this new racing game, Japanese Drift Master, and it looks cool. It looks fun. But then I saw some of these comments, and it's interesting. Someone says, "I can't wait for this game, but why is the drifting so twitchy?" Another person says, "Visually, it looks nice, but the steering is so twitchy that it looks unnatural, especially mid-drift." And people are really torn on this game, and it got me thinking, what makes a good racing game? And then I realized it is not the racing. Now, stay with me. I know that's weird to say, but I know you will agree with me by the end of this video. Racing games, for the most part, have lost their flair compared to 2000 to 2010. That decade was the best racing game era. You had everybody playing racing games. It was just a part of our daily catalog. You had Call of Duty, you had Halo, you had whatever, and everybody had a racing game. And if you think back to your favorite racing game, for me, it's Most Wanted, you won't particularly remember the racing itself. You don't remember the physics. You don't remember how each corner felt particularly. You remember how the game made you feel. I remember the culture of these games. I remember the story and all the other systems in the game. And that's a pretty loose phrase to say that you remember the culture of these games, but that's what made these OG racing games great was the systems in them, the culture, the characters, the world. In Gran Turismo, let's get off of a street racing game because Most Wanted is a little unfair. It is the best street racing game available. Then there's that other side, is the simulation racing. This is Gran Turismo 2, and this game was badass. I don't even remember the racing exactly, and if you went back and played it, it would probably be terrible compared to Forza Horizon 5. But the system and the world and going for these licenses was so much fun. I remember the grind for the licenses, and I remember the car catalog. The world, the systems, it was a lot of fun, and the loop was really, really memorable. In the legendary golden era of street racing games, that's Underground 1 all the way to Pro Street, and that's where it ends. You remember the story, you remember the world, you remember the overall feeling that the games give you. Even a game like Juiced, let's check out Juiced. Even in a game like Juiced, where if you played that game today, you'd be blown away at how rudimentary the physics are. The game is way more memorable than any modern day racing game today because it's the world, it's how it made you feel. Racing for pink slips online against other players. Everything here gave you a real feeling of being a racer. Whether it's a street racer or Gran Turismo in a simulation racer, those games, maybe you can hit the nail on the head better than I can, but you understand where I'm going with this, right? While Forza is a better racing game physically, technically, graphically, it's missing all of the things that made those racing games great. To me, Forza Horizon 5, these games feel empty. They capture the racing fanatics. If you like racing games, this is a great racing game. But if you ask anyone today, the majority of gamers, I feel, would say that Need for Speed Carbon is better. Underground 1, Grid, Gran Turismo 2, all these great games are more memorable. General gaming audience believes that racing games are dead, and it does certainly feel that way, unless you are a racing game fanatic and you just like playing racing games. Games like Forza Horizon 5, I believe they're successful because of one thing. When Need for Speed Unbound was about to come out, I believed that it would be the return of great street racing games, and while this video essay of mine was great, I ended up being really wrong about Need for Speed Unbound. It did not reignite the gaming scene. It was terrible. It was garbage. Where Unbound went wrong is they tried to recreate street racing culture, taking it from a criminal element and trying to make it your artistic self-expression. It was extremely cringy, it was terrible, and it does not stack up against the great Need for Speed games. For street racing games to get good again, we need a revamped Most Wanted from 2005, a criminal element that makes you feel like you're Paul Walker in Fast and Furious, or for simulation-style racing games, you can make an ultra realistic simulation, great, perfect racing game. but you still need some sort of hook beyond that. You need culture, you need systems in the game that create a good gameplay loop that make it memorable. For both styles of games, uh, you need systems. You need something more. You need a cool story or building your own team, your own NASCAR pit crew. I don't know, but there needs to be something beyond racing. If you look at a game like Grand Theft Auto, this is a great example. Grand Theft Auto is ultimately driving around, picking up prostitutes, and eliminating people, right? But that's not what we remember. You remember the incredible stories, Nico Bellic, CJ, and that's what racing games need today. Whether it's a great story, whether it's a good culture or systems in the game that create a world, a strong world that leave you feeling something. Old racing games had that. Old racing games had that. If you strip the story, if you strip the systems, you get modern day racing games, which are ultimately bland and not memorable, and the world is just lifeless. It's like taking the story out of Grand Theft Auto. While these games capture the interest of racing fanatics, they lose the rest of us because the best part of racing games is not the racing. This is Tokyo Extreme Racer right here. We're going to be checking this game out on my live stream on twitch.tv/GrimmHollywood. Check it out. I want to break it down. Hopefully this is a resurgence for racing games. I would love to have a story in a racing game. I would love to have, give me Grand Theft Auto mixed with Need for Speed Underground. Give me that Fast and Furious game. Just give me something to be reignited in the racing game world. That's how I feel. Much love. GG's. Like the video, subscribe, playa.